history repeat itself? We'll look at the game one coming up on Wednesday night. That's next.
There's some feelings you can get with any sports book. Hey, what you want to do with this? But the feeling that no matter what, you're taken care of. Oh, I just earned a hotel suite. You don't get that here at the sportsbook born in Vegas, where they know how to treat you right. Who you talking to, Jamie Foxx?
Bonus bets, exclusive offers, real world rewards. Bet MGM. Download and bet today.
Oh, I wish my TV provider let me choose what I pay for.
What's up? Thank you for liking and subscribing into the Earl universe. Well, thank you. Kathy Smith is the best. And your mom is a welcomed addition to the Earl world because, one, she's a fan, and two, she's a woman. And we don't get a lot of women in here, to be completely honest with you. What up, Shandy? I do have a cute puppy, but my cute puppy right now is sleeping. So she will not be disturbed until she awakens. So her name is Lois, and she knows when I put the camera on her, she wakes up. She's got a real eye to the camera. So you'll hear her cough probably within the next 30 minutes, and then we'll put the camera on her. What up, Art the Clown? I mean, we need more women in the chat, to be completely honest with you. But, it's good to have male fans, too. I mean, I just want fans, to be honest with you. You know, we take women, men, trans, gay, straight, black, white, Chinese, Japanese. Yeah, it's a real sausage fest, no doubt about that. Well, that's a little personal, Manu. Yes, I have blue eyes. The way your jaw's set up, all it would take is one punch to knock you out. I don't think so, really, but that's kind of a strange troll. But welcome aboard, Cinco Loco. Nothing wrong with lurking. Yes, 100%. This stream is like the bar in Star Wars. But you know what? I let the trolls come in and do their thing. I've been told that when you do a stream on the phone, that, what do they call them? Scroll trolls. They just come in and troll you for a bit, and then they move on to the next stream. My stream is about nothing and everything at the same time. Yes, that's why I don't ask for money on these streams, because my net worth is so high. I don't need a $2 super chat. Yes, we talk about everything, anything, and nothing. This is like walking into a bar. You sit down and you just start talking to the person next to you. Now, for those of you who don't know me, yeah, 100% it's about a sausage fest. I mean, listen, I'd be lying to you guys if I said there's tons of women in here. There ain't. But, strangely enough, I get a fair amount of women at my live shows. Well, I mean, you got to get monetized first, and then it is like a bar. But you know what? I'm glad, I've noticed a dip in the subscriptions because, and it coincides with a dip in trolls. So, trolls are they make the internet go around. I don't know. Gina Bobina has not been in the stream for a minute. And Flat Cat Jessica, she handles the late night duties. How much sausage is a fest? You're looking at it, baby. William Zoom, I think he is in the East Coast, so he might be sleeping. So it's all good. Hit the like and subscribe button, new people, please. And you can ask me any questions you want. I will give you an answer. Junior Wade, I don't know what answer you want me to give you. So, yeah, but his problem, SC, was that, and this is, once again, another reason why I don't like Jeff and his manager. They knew that Ralphie was just going to get up there and wing it. And, Mike Lawrence is about the worst person in the world you could go up there against and wing it. Because he's going to be prepared and he's going to have, just these really well thought out, written, intricate burns. And Ralphie's just going to be like, man, your mama's so fat when she sits around the house, she sits around the house. And, it's just, Ralphie shouldn't have been on the show, but, I don't want to bore you guys with that. If you do stand up, I'm fucking sleeping, dude. Well, you know what, Junior Wade, here's the great thing. If you don't think I'm funny, great. There's probably about 10,000 other streams going on right now. Get the fuck out. Dean Gelber is living in Los Angeles again, so never say never. So that's a deep cut, Staggy. You might be related to the Chicken Man. Speaking of which, where is the Chicken Man? And yes, Ralphie May was very funny. Great stand-up. Horrific roast battler. But I've said that before, usually the best roast battlers are the worst comics. Well, I think Ralphie was pissed because after that, he was embarrassed on national television at his expense. If Jeff had any decency, Jeff would have said, hey, Ralphie, why don't you judge? Because like I told you guys last night, yes, I am a comedian, Alex. Stand-up actor, voiceover artist. You got it, Junior. Thanks for listening. Appreciate it. Do you really think you're hurting my feelings by giving me a finger? Jesus, man. What a fucking loser. Ralphie was embarrassed on national television. If they had any he should have never have roast battled, but if they still wanted him to battle, they should have put him in a bracket with me, Hinchcliffe, and Tiana. Because the three of us were friends with Ralphie. So it would have been fun. Against Mike Lawrence, it was just mean. So I don't think Ralphie ever talked to Jeff again. So, yeah, Jeff, thought it would be funny to have his 700-pound comedy friend going through a divorce who looks like shit on TV, at that point. He's hundreds of pounds overweight. Hey, this will be funny. We'll put him up against this autistic guy and Mike Lawrence. That's fucking great. And Jeff doesn't have the balls to battle. So, yeah, I mean, I remember I was sitting with Adam Egan in the crowd, and it was so bad. I mean, it was bad on TV, but I'm telling you, in the room, like, I couldn't look at the stage. I was just like, this is horrible. So, you know. Hey, Stagwar, you can put that in all caps if you'd like. Well, I'm not black and 7 feet tall, Alex. So I would say an NBA basketball player. So I am doing the gig that I was meant to be doing, I suppose. So, I mean, if I couldn't do comedy, and I don't know. I mean, I love doing voiceover work. It's very easy. EA Sports. It's in the game. So, and I love doing comedy still. I mean, I've been doing stand-up now for 25 years, and I still enjoy it. Do I wish I had more success at it? Yeah, 100%. But, last night I had a really good set at the Comedy Store. It was a fun hang afterwards. So, I wish I was the EA Sports guy. Well, but I mean, Ralphie I think he probably figured it out literally during the battle. Oh, fuck, this guy's a killer. Because I know how Jeff works. Jeff probably told Ralphie, yeah, we're going to put you in a bracket with Miss Pat. You'll kill her. And then you'll get either Mike Lawrence or Matthew Broussard. You'll kill them. You're funnier than those guys. And then you'll win it all, baby. And, he just shouldn't have, I mean, go back and watch that Mike Lawrence. It wasn't even fun to watch. It was just fucking mean. Now, Ralphie signed up for the battle, so he knew, but, and I've told this story before, they did a test battle with Ralphie in the belly room against Sarah Tiana, and my history on the show, like the first 4 or 5 years I was on it before I left, I think that's the only battle where they didn't even say, Sarah, you won. They just stopped it because it was so bad. I mean, Sarah was killing him. And so they knew that he wasn't going to be good at it, and they still put him on. Fuck Jeff and his manager, Amy, for those of you wondering who that is. Yeah, I mean, Ralphie was a great comic and a great guy, always trying to help people. Always trying to, hey, Earl, let me get you a manager. Hey, Earl, let me get you some road work. So James Earl Skakel Jones, you got it. Well, Calrissian. I believe they were friends. I don't know if they were good friends. I mean, Jeff's kind of a user, so I don't think that Jeff could really get anything from Ralphie because they were pretty much on the same level. I mean, Ralphie's a much better comic than Jeff. So, I mean, Jeff couldn't really use Ralphie to get anything, so that's why they probably... I mean, me and Jeff were never really close. I mean, when Jeff first came on to Roast Battle, he needed me because I was basically the voice of the show. Like, I don't mean my physical voice, but I mean, I knew the pacing of the show. I knew how to act when the comic would bomb, and Jeff was clueless. Jeff really didn't add anything, to be honest. He just, he could bring in John Mayer, I guess. Okay, there's a little bit of a buzz because John Mayer's in the room, but other than that, Jeff really wasn't funny at all. He'd just do hacky, lines that people would write for him, and go back, like I said, go back to season 1 of Roast Battle. I think you can watch, someone said it's on Peacock or Paramount Plus, one of the two. And I guess you could go on ComedyCentral.com and go back to any episode me and Jeff were on. You won't find one episode where he was funnier than me, but he gets all the money. That's Jeff's best talent. He walks into a show, has nothing to do with the creating of it, the building of it, and he gets all the money. So, which is your favorite Keith Lee? I mean, the AEW Keith Lee, I guess. I mean, my voice was a little lower, I think. Probably, if I could roast anyone, probably like an 80s metal guy, like a Tommy Lee, and there's no way. I mean, Netflix. I mean, I don't know, to be honest with you. I can't imagine Jeff getting. I mean, Jeff was the worst part of that roast. And judge for yourself. Go back and watch the Tom Brady roast. There's 3 people who were good on it: Hinchcliffe, Nikki, and Andrew Schultz. That's it, in my opinion. Now, people are gonna say, "Well, you don't like Jeff, so you're just saying that." Go back and watch the roast for yourself. The wrestler. So, I mean, I didn't watch a tremendous amount of the roast, but I did watch those 4 people, and like, the only thing Jeff was known for on the Tom Brady roast was when Tom Brady said, "Hey, don't fucking do jokes about Robert Kraft and the massage parlor." So, but that's his. Jeff fails upward. Like, it's really a talent, I guess. Like, Roast Battle bombed out after season 3, so he goes to Historical Roast. Historical Roast bombs out. He goes to the Tom Brady roast. I mean, he bombs on the Tom Brady roast, and he'll be the head of the next roast. Yeah, I mean, he's just so hacky, and he's just lazy, man. Well, it's not really a wrestler movie. It's about the Smashing Machine, Mark Kerr. So it's really more a UFC movie. Because I don't think Mark Kerr did wrestling. The pro wrestling shit. He was like a legit badass. I mean, it is kind of funny though. I mean, The Rock is, how old's The Rock? Like in his 40s, and he's playing like a Mark Kerr in his mid-20s. So, but he looks kind of like him. I mean, they did do a good job with the makeup and whatnot. Yes, don't forget to subscribe to Earl Skakel. He's unattractive too. Oh, The Rock is 55. So it's weird that he's playing someone, who initially, I mean, most of the Mark Kerr story is really about him in his mid-20s. So he's unattractive too. You talking about The Rock or Jeff? Yeah, I mean, what girl fucks Jeff? It's like unbelievable to me. I mean, I can honestly, have I fucked a bunch of models? Not really. But like, I've been attracted to each girl I've slept with in some capacity. Like, either they had a nice ass or big tits or whatever, a beautiful face, a great body. What girl looks at Jeff and gets wet? I mean, okay, well, that's nice to know, cool dude. I mean, Jeff knows that too. Any girl that's fucking him is thinking of any other guy. Any other guy. But thank you guys for joining me on a Sunday night. Not going to be a horribly long stream, but, I welcome you guys. I see we lost a few of the early trolls, That's the thing. Trolls come in hot, and then they kind of lose steam. So, thank you to the trolls for, visiting and having no impact. But I see a lot of regulars here tonight, which makes me happy. You guys are the fucking soldiers in the Earl Army on the front lines of the internet. So, last night's show at the Comedy Store was very good. I mean, the show was like an hour behind. I got on at 1 o'clock. I don't know what's worse about Jeff Ross, his routine or that stuff with the underage girl. Well, it's alleged. I mean, what up, Black and Blue? So, you either believe him or her. It's really one of those things that, like with the D'Elia stuff, there were screen grabs and, basically an electronical trail. But, with Jeff and his situation, there was just pictures of them together. Doesn't mean he did anything with her, but, kind of points the arrow that way. So, you got to hear both stories, and you pick, who you believe. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Hit the subscription button, please. Do most comics cheat on their partners? I mean, a fair amount. I don't think you can, say most. You can't. That's a pretty broad stroke. I mean, there's a lot of comics who don't cheat on their partners. Thank you, Mr. Lancel. Plans for the next Earl podcast. Really, just when I get a guest I want to really talk to. I mean, the last guest, I think, was a few months ago, Chris Nyland, the hockey player. I was very excited to talk to him because he was one of my favorite players as a child. So I don't really have anyone that I want to go, I want this person. And, I kind of lost my mojo for Sia Casey doing the podcast just because I don't make any money on it. Like, so it's not like a lot of work, but it is a fair amount of work trying to set up the guests and trying to get people to come on, and then you got to schedule them, and then their schedule changes, and then my schedule changes. So, it's really just, I mean, I can't really think of anyone where it's like, I want to talk to this person. Do you just love listening to yourself talk? Not really, but when I do a stream like this, I don't do it like other live streamers where I'm watching other shows and commenting. I just hit record, and tonight we'll probably do about, I don't know, another 15 or so minutes, and then I go work out. I actually don't like listening to myself talk. I mean, I've never watched one of my roast battles on television. Because I was there. I don't need to watch it again. I mean, I may have watched some of my episodes of the Jellies, but get your fellow comics on who regularly... Yeah, but see, there's the problem, though. Those numbers don't do well, Moses. Like, when I first started Inappropriate Earl, I just want to interview my friends, fellow roast battle comics and whatnot, and the numbers didn't do well at all. So, and it's kind of the same interview, to be honest with you. If you just have a bunch of unknown comics on, it's like, well, tell us about your start. What's your craziest gig? What's your best gig? And I don't know. I just got bored doing the same interview, I guess. 100% Drunken Donuts. I know, but it's got to also be interesting to me. Because if you go back and listen to any interviews I've done with any of the comics from the Comedy Store and whatnot, it's the same interview. I Googled you. Is your signature move taking your shirt off? I was doing that long before Bert, Alex. Is that how you met Bolivia? No, I met Bolivia one night at Roast Battle. She was battling someone and she killed him. And I'm like, who is this girl? And then afterwards we met in the parking lot, and, we became friends, and then, started dating. I don't know. I mean, Diddy's a freak. I mean, I'm not really following it that much, to be honest with you, but, he's a scummy guy. I mean, you either believe Diddy, or if you believe Diddy, you believe everyone else is lying, and I just don't believe that. Yeah, I know. I mean, I get it. Like, I mean, that's what I love about Rogan is, at least what I did love is when he would interview a comic, it wouldn't be just the standard, so tell us about your worst gig. Tell us about your best gig. He'd get into other topics. Like for me, if I went on Rogan, we could talk about hockey and, obviously my relationship with the Kennedys and whatnot. Hey, Earl, did you ever listen to Jay Thomas? Yeah, I did listen to Jim Rome a lot. Jay Thomas, not so much. Jim Rome, I loved the early days of Jim Rome, but then he got too big and it just wasn't the same. Like when he would have the smack off, with Ira Craig and Dr. Steve, that was like my favorite era. But then, the show got so big, and especially after the Jim Everett thing, I think Jim Rome got too cocky and it just wasn't the same anymore. I know I've never been to the Freak Offs, wasn't invited. Would you have gone to a Diddy party? I mean, I would have gone, but I probably would have walked out when I saw, like, I'm not into that peeing and all that stuff. So, um, I mean, I've thought about maybe being a wrestling manager. I didn't see the Joey episode. See, I heard it wasn't that good. Someone said Joey looked bored. Um, so, you know, I'm glad Jim Everett did what he did. I hate it when like someone like Jim Rome, who probably clearly never played sports a day in his life, is sitting there essentially calling Jim Everett a pussy. Well, it's like I would love to see Jim Rome when he looked out across at say Jack Lambert and Mean Joe Green and the Steel Curtain, and I would love to see how he would react. He'd have happy feet. So yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't wrestle. I mean, I'm way too old to wrestle, but I think I would say at that point of the Everett interview, Rome just got too cocky, and it changed. It was kind of repetitive too, like the smack off. The first smack off or two, it was really funny. Like it was kind of inventive the way the callers would basically roast battle each other, and then it just got a little old. So I would I would love to be like, I'm trying to think in AEW who could be, you need someone who's not good on the mic. Like Wardlow. Although he did have that one good promo, Wardlow in general, should basically be like Goldberg, not talk a lot, and then I could be the manager. Message held for review. Uh-oh. Jim Rome seemed like a smug, pompous dildo. Yes, 100%. That's a fact. Jack. Well, I think Rome back in the day was good. He just, things get too big, and I think he believed his own hype, and then he had competition. You had like Steven Smith start doing the same shtick, and Colin Coward, and you know, kind of Mad Dog Russo, and so I think for a while Rome was like the guy, and then copycats came in, and I miss Rowdy Piper too, for sure. I think DDP started at 35, but his body's a wreck now, which is kind of what got him into yoga. So, of course, DDP, I was on the dais of the Ric Flair roast with DDP. Great guy, very cool. So I wrote some jokes for him. I don't think he used too many of them. He actually called me up and said, "Hey, man, these are really good, but I can't say this stuff." Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Stephen A. Smith fan. I do yoga. I don't do DDP yoga. I do hot yoga. So I don't know who that is, SC. Graham Bensinger. Yeah, I don't like a lot of the sports talk guys now because they've clearly never fucking played sports. So I don't think they should really criticize LeBron James or, any athlete really. It's like, I love Paul Bissonnette, but like, this guy got a whiff in the NHL, and now he's going to criticize Austin Matthews. Like, now he played the game, yes, but like, I don't know. I like Mark Messier. If he says something about a player, I'll believe it because he's one of the greatest players of all time. It's like I don't like taking comedy advice from people. Have you ever done a show on stage before? No. Well, then you can't criticize me. You can have an opinion, but oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, Nick Wright, that's the guy with the big nose, right? I do think Biz is funny. I mean, he was at the Comedy Store one night when I was on, and I was doing pretty well. I mean, I wasn't killing, but I was doing well. And he just raises his hand like a schoolgirl and go, "Hey, Earl, you're really funny, but I gotta tap this bitch." She was with some really hot girl, so get to your closer. Um, oh, I would love to get under the skin of wrestling fans because I'm a student of managers. You know, I mean, the first manager I really gravitated to was the Wizard. Um, so, I mean, and then, obviously Freddie Blassie, Lou Albano, Bobby Heenan, I'd be great, I think in AEW, like I'd have some good mic wars with Don Callis. And MVP, I would love to do a segment with MVP. Oh yeah, I mean managers and agents don't do anything. Like they only do something when you get something on your own. Then they're like, "Hey, we want to work with you." I mean, when I got Roast Battle, I literally had an ICM agent call me up and says, "Hey, if you need anything, let me know." It's like, where was this call yesterday? Yeah, I love Jim Cornette. I mean, who else? I'm trying to think of that. J.J. Dillon was pretty funny as a manager. Precious Paul Ellering, Um, I think I could be the modern day Jim Cornette. You need to stick me with someone who doesn't talk at all, like Beast Mortis in AEW. That guy doesn't talk, so let me be his manager. I'd love to do a segment with Prince Nana and call him Prince No No and say, "Your coffee sucks." So, I mean, you never know. I mean, RJ City had a good idea for me. We were talking. He's like, "You should be a manager. It's a heel stable of all Japanese women who don't speak any English. And it's not like a fetish thing. It's just they don't, that's the shtick, is they don't talk, and you have to talk for them." So, and I know a little Japanese. Konnichiwa, aimasu. I don't know what that means, but it is Japanese. Yeah, I mean, Teddy Long was great. I mean, there's so many. Teddy Long was a great manager of the Skyscrapers, Danny Spivey, and Sid Vicious. So I would love to do that, but if I ever met Tony Khan, I would pitch him, "Hey man, let me be a heel manager. Maybe I could be a Wardlow's manager when he comes back." I mean, he's got to be due to come back. I mean, he's been off TV for a minute. Arigato, Mr. Roboto, konnichiwa, aimasu. And I dated a Japanese girl, for 6 years, so I'm familiar with the lingo. Yeah, Doom with Ron Simmons was like a legit badass. Like, you always hear Haku, but when you talk about who's maybe the second toughest guy in the wrestling, like legit, you hear Ron Simmons' name a lot. So I've never actually met Tony Khan, to be honest with you, so I could not tell you that, unfortunately. I would love to meet him, pitch him some ideas. I don't think so. Who's Vag? Not that I know of. But Moses, you might be onto something I'm not. I mean, I'm just a LA stand-up comic. I know not what you speak of. But I'll let you know if I ever see a horizontal vagina. Why don't they? I don't think you could do a roast of Vince McMahon. Like, there'd be too many restrictions. Earl, you can't talk about this. Earl, you can't do this. Earl, you can't do that. And I'd be like, all right, fuck it then. Why am I here? Asian vagina. No, I mean, I gotta say it's normal. It is vertical, I guess. the vertical badge, if you will. So I've dated a few Asian girls. Um, I mean, very beautiful people. I mean, the one I dated for 6.5 years literally has not aged. She's married, two kids, and looks the same as when we dated in the 90s. Well, I mean, the Iron Sheik was the real deal, to be honest with you. I mean, the Iron Sheik was, he was like a real life bodyguard of the Shah of Iran. So he wasn't really, he was like, there was a legitimacy to his toughness. Question for Earl, if I may. Can you tell the story of how you got passed at the Comedy Store? I mean, it's a pretty, I got passed in 2014. It was kind of a little bit of luck that started in 2011 when I was opening up for Rob Schneider at the Tempe Improv. And the manager of the club was Adam Egget. And then 2 years later, I mean, I think 2 years later, he was the manager of the Comedy Store. And then 3 years later, he became the booker of the Comedy Store. And then everyone was telling him, hey, you got to pass Earl. He's been up here forever. And, he's paid his dues. And everyone loves him. He's really funny. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, a prime D'Elia was putting the squeeze on him to pass me. And so he came up to me and said, listen, I'm going to showcase you, but you got to do well. Like, I can't just pass you because we're friends. And obviously, I wouldn't want to be passed like that anyway. And my showcase set was very good. And then I had a pretty good idea I was going to get passed because I had the best set out of the 6 people showcasing. And then the next day, the very next day, Brian Moses, who was working at the store as a phone guy in addition to Roast Battle, he called me up about 10 a.m. said, hey, you can start calling in for spots. And I wasn't picking up what he was putting down. It's like, you're passed, brother. So Brian Moses is the one who told me I was passed. Well, Adam's got a big hog too. So is that why you're nicer to D'Elia than Callan? I'm really not nicer to D'Elia. I don't talk to him anymore. I mean, I had to cut the cord there because I'd be very hypocritical if I was nice to Chris and then not nice to Callan or Jeff. So, I mean, I actually think Paulie's pretty funny. So, well, it's just disappointment. I mean, we were good comedy friends. I was never good comedy friends with Callan, certainly not with Jeff. So it just, that's the thing, I think the last time we spoke, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, he swore up and down that he was being set up. And I'm like, I think I more or less told him, bro, come on. One person setting you up, maybe, but, 10 people saying you did something with them. And if even half the rumors are true that I've heard about your situation, it's like, come on, man. So, I mean, I'm going to assume Bobby Lee does, to be honest with you. I mean, some stereotypes are true. I do think Paulie is funny as a comedian. I mean, watch him, I don't tell people who to think is funny. But, it's kind of like Carrot Top. A lot of people don't think Carrot Top is funny. But watch Carrot Top. He's funny, man. You might not like prop humor, which I get. But, I do think that, watch Paulie's one-man shows. They're really good. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure part of his initial success was due to his mom owning the club, but he still had to put in the work. SCB ID show, Tony. What about Tony? Yeah, we'd say hi to each other. I mean, the last time I saw him was at the Netflix festival at the store. We gave each other a hug. I didn't know that was a stereotype, I mean, Carrot Top gets it. Like, he's more successful than 99.9% of the comics who've ever picked up a microphone. So I don't think he really cares if I think he's funny or anyone else thinks he's funny. He's making millions of dollars a year in Vegas. He's okay. I think Carrot Top is like Kiss. They're in it for the money and the pussy. If you think they're a good band, great. If not, they're still getting the money and the pussy. Um, I mean, I don't really know a lot about Karmic X, to be honest with you. I mean, it seems like every few months there's someone in the Dabbleverse that kind of pops up, and there's Joey C, and then there's Perry Caravello, and then they fade pretty fast, and you gotta whether you like the Dabbleverse or not, trust me, they still get puss, Mickey. Trust me on that one. I don't know how old Carrot Top is. But when you're in the Dabbleverse and you're not a comic like Joey C or Karmic X or any of these other people, I mean, Kevin Brennan's been a comic for 30 years. Bob Levy's been a comic for 30 years. Shuli's been a comic, for 20 years or whatever. Chad's been a comic for 20, 25 years, whatever it's been. You're going up against seasoned comics. Now, you might not think any of those people I just mentioned are funny or whatever, but they're still very seasoned pros. So that's why I think most people come in, they come out, and then you never hear from them again. I mean, how fast did Joey C burn out? Because after a while, it wasn't funny. It was just, okay, he just yells. Are you friends with Pablo Francisco? We've done shows together. I wouldn't say we're friends. How do I rate Kato Kalin as a comic? I don't. So how about Quinn Dale? Dude, it's hilarious. Yeah, I know Quinn. I mean, we're not like good friends or anything, but I like him. We always, I see him maybe once every 2 years. Sometimes he's at the Comedy Store. He's not passed up there, but sometimes he's on like an outside show. I would say Carrot Top. If I had to guess, I would say Carrot Top is probably on growth hormone or TRT, testosterone replacement therapy. Same as Kevin Hart. He just yells loud, not funny. I mean, I've never really watched Kevin Hart's stand-up, so I can't really say anything, but pass. Like, so my name is on the wall at the Comedy Store. So like last night, I got paid at the Comedy Store to perform. Quinn Dale does not get paid because he's not passed at the Comedy Store. I don't like George Lopez. I mean, I don't tell people who they think should be funny. So if you don't like him, you don't like him. No, I don't do interviews. I'm not sending the link to anybody, to be honest with you. But I should share this stream. I should say I'm going live right now. So that's what separates me from the Dabbleverse streams. I don't do interviews with Joey C and that shit. And I believe Karmic was in here. He seemed like a nice guy. I don't know. Guy never done me wrong. I just think that, every few months there's a new Dabbleverse straw that stirs the drink. There was that guy Mersch and the drunk guy from, I think, Germany. And then they faded fast. Earl. I love George Wallace. I met him at the Comedy Store. Tommy Davidson. I met him at the Comedy Store. Very nice guy. Who else? I mean, Tom Rhodes. I don't know if you would consider him an old school comic, but he's a great comic. Yes, you have to be a paid regular at the Comedy Store. Speaking of which, I got a check last night from the Comedy Store. Let's see how much it was for. All right. see. This is the Comedy Store. These are nice shorts, to be honest with you. Yeah, but I don't really do, the roasting of the trolls. I mean, I give the trolls their shot. Yes, this is this is an AEW shirt. All right. Not bad. So this was for 2 sets at the Comedy Store. So I'll take it. It's about a little over an hour's worth of work. $500. So yeah, this is an AEW shirt. This is the Hurt Syndicate thumbs down shirt. They also have a thumbs up shirt. I mean, I don't know if I'm killing it, but I'm certainly doing better than most comics. What type of comics does Rose prefer? I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm one of the few comics that, at least I'm one of the few late night comics that she kept. A lot of comics that I used to be brought up by are not being used at the moment. Avery's Sports Show. Earl, how's Dick in West Hollywood doing? Let's give it up for Avery, my black friend from Edmonton. Well, Kill Illuminati, it's that's probably for about 80 to 90 minutes worth of work. What up, Avery? Avery's one of my good friends, a very talented sports reporter based out of Edmonton. Well, as you can see, baby, this is for about an hour and a half of work. I don't know too many gigs that pay like that. I also, I do a lot of voiceover work where, like residuals, you don't get a ton of money unless it's like a big, big show. But like I did, I think a month ago, a Georgia State Lottery commercial. Buy your Georgia State scratchers now, void where prohibited. It literally took me, I had to say that line maybe for 20 minutes. It was $1,500 for 20 minutes of work. No offense taken. So, I mean, I do okay. If you had the money, would you open a comedy club today? I mean, it depends. You do need to do that, Avery. I mean, it would have to be under the right circumstances. When you're bringing in a business, do you have to stay for the entire show like pro wrestlers? I do, but a lot of people didn't. Earl, seriously speaking, to the health of stand-up now, if you had the money, would you open a comedy club today? I mean, it would have to be it'd have to be, I'm about location. Like, the Comedy Store is the Comedy Store because it's literally in the middle of Sunset. You drive, you don't even have to advertise. You drive by it every day, and you drive by it so much if you live in the neighborhood or you work in the neighborhood that it just beats you down, and you go, hey, I got to come here. I drive by here every day. Same thing with the Laugh Factory, Improv on Melrose, but not as much. I mean, that was always the concern with the Kookaburra Lounge is you got to know it's there because it's on, I think, the 5th floor of a mall that doesn't get a lot of foot traffic. It depends on the cartoon. Like, it's people from, I know friends of mine who are like on Bob's Burgers and American Dad and Family Guy who they have $1 million homes. But, the Jellies, Jellies was 3 seasons. Realistically, it was only on for 2 on TV because the first season was on his phone app. So, you take obviously The Simpsons, you make a shitload of money on that too. But if you could get like a cartoon for 5 to 10 to 15 seasons, like, that's a lot of money because, and especially if it's in syndication, if you go on like American Dad, was that on Fox, and then maybe they switch it to FX, and then maybe do Adult Swim. Like, the Jellies at one point was on 3 different networks: Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, and HBO Max. So I made a decent amount of money from that. They like clean comedy, and I can do clean. I just I've really hit my sweet spot of the Comedy Store. So, and getting back to what I open a comedy club, I mean, it'd have to be really the right location, and like you couldn't open up one around the Comedy Store because the Comedy Store is just too iconic. So now there was a Comedy Store in Westwood, which I thought, wow, that's a brilliant place for a comedy club. You're in the heart of UCLA. You get the students there every weekend wanting to go out, but you couldn't sell booze there because they're not 21 yet. The majority of the people. So I did meet Phil Lamar. Phil Lamar. I will show you Phil Lamar. I'm the guy with the mustache. That guy right there. Hold on. Sorry, I don't know what's going on here. And the guy with the big white eyes right there, that's Phil Lamar. So Phil Lamar was awesome to work with. He's just someone, Mad TV, Pulp Fiction, literally been in hundreds of cartoons. So, well, I mean, it's easy for me to say I can do this better when I don't have to put the money behind it. What up, Rudy? Did you meet? Oh, sorry. How can stand-up comedy exist if there's so many? Yeah, but I mean, I think because of shows like Roast Battle and Kill Tony, edgy humor's coming back, but it's got to be funny. Some people might argue the Kill Tony comics aren't funny; they're just shocking. I had a report last night from a Kill Tony comic playing the Ha Ha, and he said half the crowd walked out because they were just being mean. Like there was no funny behind it. So Phil Lamar is great. He gave me, I think I've told this story before, but my voice in a $1 million sound studio is pretty fucking intimidating. So when you say the P, any word that starts with the word P, it kind of pops. It's like if I were to say pussy in a $1 million sound system, speaking into like a Neumann mic, you hear the P, like pussy, papa, pencil. And I was struggling in this one scene. I was trying not to pop my P. And, I could tell people getting a little frustrated. And Phil goes, hey, he gives me a pencil, a number 2 pencil. He's like, put this in front of your mouth, about 4 inches from your mouth and about 4 inches from the mic. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck is that going to do? I'm like, okay. Next take, I said it perfectly. I didn't pop because Phil's such a fucking student of voiceover work that when you, just the little eraser head on the top of a number 2 pencil mutes the popping sound. So it comes out pussy, not pussy. That even if you do it, by the time it hits the eraser head and then gets to the mic, it disappears. So working with like Phil Lamar was like free voiceover lessons. So, yeah, I mean, by getting in terms of like what I would do, there's a lot of things I would do differently at a comedy club. Like I wouldn't really put an emphasis right now at most comedy clubs. There's an emphasis on followers. Like I had someone reach out to me going, "Hey, we'd love to have you headline because we know you can do the time, but you only have 12,000 followers on Instagram. And I personally don't book anyone who doesn't have over 100,000 followers. I would change that because here's the deal. Sound like old school comic Dave Taylor. Here's the deal. Dave Taylor, legendary Comedy Store comic. But here's, like, I have a friend of mine. She's an Instagram model, and she dabbles in comedy, to steal a phrase from the Dabbleverse. And she gets on a lot of shows, even though she literally doesn't have 5 minutes of fucking stage time. Because the club owners and room runners think she's got 1 million followers. If just 1% of her fans show up, that's hundreds of people. But like in LA, a lot of popular social media comics get booked because it's like, oh my God, this guy or girl has millions of followers, or 1 million followers, or 500,000 followers. But most of those people don't live in Los Angeles. So their followers ain't going to come to the club because they're not in the city. So she does dabble in OnlyFans, actually. I've never had a Kramer type moment. Earl, this is exactly my point. Funny, even as a booker. I think I'd be a very good booker because I'm old school, man. I don't care how many followers you have. I don't care what you look like. If you're funny, you're funny, and that means the audience will come back. There was a comic, big social media guy. I think he was on like Love Island or something. So he gets a show in the Belly Room, and I went up there just out of curiosity, and he's a nice guy. He is a nice guy, and that's not good when you're talking about a comic. A nice guy. And so I watched him, and he just bombed for 10 minutes. He's just running the light, and the room was half empty because, like I just said, his fans are in Germany. Like they're not coming to the store. So I would definitely set a very high standard. Now I'm going to look at, let me see here. Someone sent me the lineup tonight for potluck at the Comedy Store. Now I don't want to make any comics feel bad. This isn't Kill Tony. I'm going to tell you how many comics from potluck tonight that I personally would have put on. Now potluck is for comics trying to get in at the Comedy Store. They're not in development yet. It's really the first step into getting to be a paid regular at the Comedy Store. So, all right, let's see here. Let me go to my messages. I don't know why people send me everything. I really, people just loved, everyone tells me secrets and whatnot. Like, I don't know why this person sent me the potluck list tonight. My Wi-Fi is a little jacked, so of course it's not loading right now. So we'll wait till it loads. I love Don Rickles, though. Don Rickles is one of the GOATs, in my opinion. But I like roast style humor. So no, Jeff is not on the list. I guarantee you this much, people think, oh, Jeff's the famous comic, which he is, I guess. More people come to see me than they do him. And that's just a reality. Dennis Rodman popped by the Comedy Store ever again. Not ever since he took a picture of me on his lap. All right. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. All right, so I'm going to look at the list on potluck tonight. Now, I'm cutthroat. So there's 16 new comics. Actually, I'll show you the list. It doesn't really matter. So here is, hold on. Here's the list. So these are all comics trying to get on at the Comedy Store. So basically the premise of getting to be a paid regular at the Comedy Store is you start out at potluck, and then you get on Friends and Family, and then you get in the development system, and then you get a showcase, and then you either pass or fail. Now, I know every single one of these 16 comics. I just through years of doing comedy. Now, if I were the booker at the Comedy Store, 16 comics, I would literally not showcase one of them. I'm hardcore, man. But I'm also hardcore because it took me so long to get past that I really look at the process of getting past as you should fucking work hard. It took me 14 full years to get past, 15 years to start getting regular spots. So, no, it's not about liking old guys and not young comics. I just think that, getting your name on the Comedy Store wall should mean something. You shouldn't just be passed because you're a gay comic and, well, we need to fill that void. And, I think that, the tough thing for some comics is, they were Emily favorites, but maybe Rose doesn't like them. I'm lucky. I was a favorite of Adams. I don't know if I would say I was a favorite of Emily's, but I got booked a lot with her. I mean, Emily probably put 30 grand in my pocket last year. And I've gotten a spot every week since Rose has been the booker. So, I've survived 3 bookers. Do you think Mitzi would have passed you? I don't know. Definitely not. I wasn't ready to be showcased. I was probably ready to, I developed a little slower than most, I was always pretty funny, but I wasn't, I was king of the open mics. And that's the thing, a lot of those comics names you just saw, they might do well at a shitty open mic, but, at the Comedy Store, you're following Chappelle Lacey, you're following Ali, you're following Sarah Tiana, you're following George Perez, you're following Rick Ingram or Ian Bagg doing crowd work. You're following Matt Rife, who does well, You're following Leslie Jones, who, does well. You're following Joey Diaz, who sets the room on fire. So you're not, most of those comics are probably popular comics on the open mic scene. But, when you graduate to the Comedy Store, you're in the big leagues, baby. Getting back to your question, Moses, I don't know. I mean, would she have passed me now? Yes, because right now my comedy has never been better, and I could always get better. But right now, if she were to walk in and see me do a late main room set, she'd be like, "This guy's the closer." I think. Did you ever catch Cheech and Chong on stage? I never did. So. Yeah, there's a lot of big names, but there's also a lot of bad comics on that name. Just they got lucky, or they were, Mitzi every now and then would hire people almost sadistically, past people like Peter Chen. Peter Chen was like this horrible Asian comic, but it was funny to her. Did you ever? Oh, sorry, I already read that. So comedy doesn't have an NXT. Yeah, you got to get out there, Nick, and there was a comic last night, and I don't want to say who it is because we're friends, but they struggled in their original room set, and they're newer to the Comedy Store. They're not new to comedy, but they're past at the Comedy Store now, and you're now in the big leagues. You're not following some roast battle comic. You're not following a Kill Tony comic. You're following, look at the original room lineup last night. All killers. All killers. So, it's just different. Everyone at the Comedy Store either has a manager or an agent, or, last night, the main room lineup was crazy. Steph Tola, Matt Lockwood, myself, George Perez, I think. No, he was in the original room. So, you're not following your unfunny friends. You're following, Kelly Ryan and Bruce Gray, who are real young and upcoming comics. So, I don't think any comic who I showed you their name on the list just now is remotely ready to be passed at the store. Do you like any? I love Tom Ballard and Wayne Deegan. Yeah, but I mean, there really is no NXT for comedy. You either graduate from, you go to open mics and then you get on. Like my um, graduation process was being the Dane Cook of open mics. Like I could go in the shittiest rooms and always do well. And then, you get to open for Rob Schneider. So that puts you in front of good crowds. But, those crowds, when you're opening for a big comic, it's really not a lot of pressure because they're all there to see Rob Schneider. So, they're rooting for you because they want to be in a good mood when Rob Schneider hits the stage. But whether I bomb or not, they're still going to be happy with Rob. So there's very little pressure opening for a big comic because no one in the room is there to see you. So, I did Cobb's Comedy Club with Rob Schneider maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Rogan, when comedy came back, it was such a, there were so many steps that happened. They fired Tommy, Adam takes over, Rogan and Joey Diaz come back. Roast Battle was the hottest show in LA comedy. So there was a reason to finally, hey, let's come to the store. We'll go watch Joe and then Roast Battle upstairs. And then the Black Show was in the main room. That was doing well again. And Adam was reaching out to Rob Schneider, thinking, well, if Rob comes, maybe Swartzen will come. If Swartzen comes, maybe Sandler will come. And, so that really pumped up the room. And, frankly, passing me, I think, was a great move because it signaled to a lot of comics up there that Tommy had fucked over. It's like, hey, if you're funny, I'm going to give you the opportunity like I did Earl. Because I was past, 44, 45 years old, and not many comics are past at that age. But that was Adam's bat signal to comics like me. It's like, hey, if you're funny, you'll get the opportunity. So I don't know about that. But I've never seen Chad's comedy. Like a lot of people, you probably think, oh, you're just saying that because you don't want to say anything mean. I've never seen his comedy. I've never seen Ray's comedy outside of what was done at Hackamania last year, and that wasn't really comedy. It was just Ray doing a Dabbleverse roast. I do still do the Baby Godzilla joke. You'll like this. I do have Baby Godzilla on my recording. So... All right, before I go, let's see if I missed anything. I don't know why they brought in Roz, to be honest with you. I thought Emily was doing a great job, but, it's like a baseball manager or a hockey coach, sometimes, I don't know what Peter Shorter's thinking was, obviously, I was at the Dodger game with Emily Friday night, so we're still very good friends. And Rose, I don't know if I would say I'm as close to Rose as I am Emily, but I think Rose is enthusiastic. I think she's at the comedy store right now watching Potluck, and I think that Emily will land on her feet. Trust me on that one. She will be running Netflix or something. She's very well regarded in the business, and I think Rose has that comedy store vibe. She's I don't know if I'd say aggressive, but she'll let you know what she thinks of your comedy. Yeah, 100% Hi-Fi Protege. Schwarzenegger, so that's a tough one. Well, I think Emily, if I could describe the difference between the two, Emily's more mama hen, like we were all her children. And if she didn't like what you were doing, there were times she came up to me and she loved me and loves me, and I love her. But hey, Earl, I'd like to see something different next week. No problem. That's basically her saying, do some new jokes. Whereas Rose would look at me and go, Earl, you need to do new jokes. It would be much more straight lined. who I think the better actor is? Stallone. But, it's pretty even. It's very hard for me to pick who my favorite was between the two. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Comedy Store, that's the thing. The Comedy Store will survive. I could quit tomorrow and say, fuck the Comedy Store. I'm never playing there again. It would be sold out on Friday and Saturday nights. So, no one is needed at the store. And that's just the brutal reality. But I think that, Emily is so well liked. And, she already had 2 job offers, 2 days after she was let go. So, and she went to Moon Tower Comedy Festival, and, she probably had 3 or 4 more job offers after that. So she'll be in a very good place sooner than later. Cobra, the Running Man, Cobra. But I love the Running Man. Where would you go? What do you mean, Night Moose? Where would you go? Where in regards to what? Stick around. How would I be as a booker? I'd probably be a good mixture of Emily and Rose. Because I realize how hard the process is at the Comedy Store, but I also realize it's the #1 club in the country, so the process should be hard. It's the NHL of comedy clubs, so you want to be in there, work your ass off. Where would I go if they let me go? Listen, I was telling someone the other last night, hey, I'm not needed here. They could get someone else to do the closing spot. I don't think they do as good of a job as me, but they could, or they could just get 2 or 3 comics. See, that's my value, I think, at the Comedy Store right now is I can do the time of 3 new comics, and you only have to pay me once. But if you bring in 3 comics to close out the show, you got to pay them 3 times. Where would I go? I don't know. I'd probably try and, get in at the Improv a little bit more than I am. Maybe the Laugh Factory. Probably go to the Kookaburra Lounge. I have no shame. I don't know if the booker at the Ice House likes me or not, but I'd reach out to him. 100%. Rocky and Rambo, no doubt about it. Schwarzenegger, you could probably argue the Terminator is one of the great action, and I do think Predator is like the greatest action movie of all time. Then you have a movie like Lethal Weapon, the first one. But, where would I go? I'd also probably redouble my efforts. And, here's the bottom line. I'll leave you guys with this because I got to get to the gym. But, this business is all about a comedy club thinking that you can fill seats for them. I know it is kind of funny when I think about that. Well, clubs are closing because they book shitty comics. And they think, okay, this person has 1 million followers. Let's book them. And then they bomb. Or Kill Tony comics. Hey, this person's on Kill Tony. That's a show on Netflix. People will just flock to it. And that's just not the case. But you'd have to be really I would, let's say the Comedy Store was going to hire me as the booker. Let's say Rose leaves a couple years from now. I say, Earl, do you want to take over as booker of the club? I would tell Peter Short, yes, but this time I'm going to do it. And I need to have full reign. I can't have people looking, obviously it's your club, Peter, but I've got to do what I think is best for comedy. And let's say this is in 5 years from now. Peter, I've been doing comedy for 30 years. I've been on the front lines more than you have. This is how you do it. It's not about social media comics whose followers live in another city. That's going to mean nothing to this. I would have a killer YouTube channel. That's the one good thing I'll give the Laugh Factory. They have a great YouTube channel. What are PRs? Personal reps? Well, there's the Bray Improv. Yeah, there's a lot of comedy clubs out there. But I would also really fucking redouble my efforts to make my YouTube page killer. Because listen, if I have 100,000 subscribers on YouTube one day and my comedy clips are getting, my shorts are getting 10,000, 20,000 views, I'm not going to be let go from the Comedy Store or any other club. Personal records. I did last night, I did 110. Here's how I work out my chest. I do 110-pound dumbbell presses. And And I do 4 sets, and I try and do as many reps as I can in those 4 sets. And I usually average about 20. So 5 reps a set for a total of 20. Last night, I don't know why, I think I was nervous to do stand-up in front of Rose or whatever, adrenaline. So the first set I did 7 reps. I'd never done 7 reps at 110 pounds. And then the next 2 sets I did 6 reps, so 13. So my personal best was 20 reps. So in 4 sets. So basically 5 a set. So at 3 sets, I'm already at 19. And I felt so good. The 4th set, I did 6 reps for a total of 25 reps. So 5 over my best. I did take creatine. 110-pound dumbbells. So that's how I do it. But guys, I got to go to the gym because they close at midnight. I work out for about an hour. So I love you guys. This has been a fun stream. I only wanted to do, last time I went to a massage parlor, before Chandler. So probably in between Bolivia and Chandler. So that's, 2017. But I also get laid a lot. I don't have to go to massage parlors anymore. Why are you against HGH? Well, I'm not against it. It's just not for me. I'm not a fucking bodybuilder, so there's no reason for me to take HGH. There's no reason for me to take Anavar, Deca, I just want to look good for my age. Do I have a bit of a stomach? Fuck yeah. At 56, I have a bit of a stomach, and I work out every fucking day. So, I'm happy with the way I look. That's really... I just want to look good for girls, to be honest. And, listen, I'm wearing leather pants and, the Comedy Store, it records everything in 8K or 6K cameras. So I want to look good for that. So, EA Sports, it's in the game.